Hello, you can call me Haxann. I am Freeform Knitter. This is my channel where I talk about knitting, crochet, and all that fun crafty stuff. It has been quite a while since I made a video. Yeah, I'm actually kind of filming this impromptu, just all of a sudden. Some free time cleared up this Saturday. It is May 6th, I believe, and yeah, I just really wanted to podcast because the reason I stopped podcasting for a brief time was because I wasn't making a lot of things, and now a lot of time has passed and I have a lot to share with you and some really fun projects. So I just kind of pulled out my camera, started filming. Yeah, so if you are returning here, thank you so much for coming back, and if you are new, welcome to my crazy unorganized crafty content. First of all, you can call me Haxann. I live in the state of Pennsylvania with my family. We're a lot of people in a small space. Actually, my brother is back from grad school this summer, so he's also here, so it's more people. The window is open because it's a beautiful day, but it is allergy season, so I apologize if I'm stuffy. But yeah, so a lot of noise. We have two little dogs who love to make their opinions known, so all that, I do my best to edit out all background noise, but you know, sometimes life is just noisy. So I guess we'll just kind of get into everything. I don't know, I'm really excited about some of the finished objects I have. Like I said, I kind of hadn't been finishing a lot of things. Really didn't have anything to show. I just finished my spring semester of school, so I actually have a month off before summer session starts, which is really exciting, and I feel motivated to actually cast things on and finish things. I feel motivated to finish things, which I haven't felt in so long, so I'm so excited to just like clear my needles and put all new things on. It's really fun. So we're just gonna start. I'm kind of awkwardly situated next to the couch because it's the best angle I could get for lighting. You can kind of see the fairy lights in the background of the darker corner of the room. But yeah, let's just start because I have so much to share and it's so much fun. We're going to start with this. This was a finished object. If you follow me on Instagram, I am the Freeform Knitter on Instagram, and I shared this project. So how this project started was, I think I had just been, there were a few creators I was watching, a few crafting podcasts where they were doing granny squares, and I really wanted to do a granny square. I didn't have a lot of, I had a good amount of worsted weight scraps, not perfect amounts, you know, sometimes we get hung up on just wanting like the perfect amount to do a square and a border, but that didn't exactly happen all the time. So I just started making squares, and I was like, okay, it doesn't matter if, like, for instance, actually how this started was last year I made my Tunisian square blanket, and I had Knit Picks minis, and I used half a mini for one part of the square and half of a plain skein for the other part, and I've shared that on the podcast. And I wanted to use up those minis with granny squares, but I didn't have enough to do a full square, and I found really funny learning Tunisian crochet. My attention changed so dramatically that for like the Knit Picks minis, I think they're 20 gram minis, sometimes I had a lot of a mini left over, and sometimes I had so much less because my attention in Tunisian crochet changed so much in learning how to do it. So all that to say, I have some squares that are very different. Like sometimes it worked out perfect, I could use two colors. Sometimes it worked out less than perfect, where I literally just needed a little bit extra. So all that to say, I made this. Look at this. Is this not so cool? I love this so much. It's all squared off. I believe it's, oh, how many squares is this by? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2, 4, 6, 7. It's 6 by 7. And I made this by doing granny square for 2, 4, 5 rounds, and then I did the join as you go method in crochet to join them together, which I was very skeptical about. I had watched a tutorial. I knew of this method. I didn't think I would like how it's done. It looked very, in my head it seemed very fiddly. Watching the tutorial, it looked very fiddly, and honestly watching the tutorial, I didn't like the idea when you're doing it, you kind of get the feeling that like this is gonna pucker or like gonna be stiff standing up. It is not. Once you do it, it lays so flat, it looks so good. It's so much easier than lining it up in like a traditional way of how I was going to do it. Yeah, it works out perfectly. And some of these squares, honestly, my intention, some of these, this is all worsted weight yarn, but some of these worsted yarns were a little bit thicker. And like when I lined the squares up, they were different sizes, but doing the join as you go with you do this in a contrasting color, it evens everything out, and it made it so much easier, and I love it so much, and I want to do more. I want to like make another blanket. I was good in weaving in my ends as I was joining, because I made all the squares and then I started joining. I was good about weaving my ends for the first 2 rows, and then I thought to myself, I'll just do a row a day when I was joining together. No, it took me like 2 days just to do this because I was loving it so much. So my ends are crazy. I'm not calling this done. I think I'm going to keep it, like I was going to end it with doing a single crochet border all around, but I think I'm just going to leave it, and as I get more worsted scraps, I'll just add to it and make it a really big blanket. It's already such a good size. Like, I was so happy with like just these scraps, how I got this sizing. I love it so much. I'm so happy with this. It's awesome. I really want to make more bigger blankets. My eye is so itchy. Allergy season is awful. I want to make more handmade blankets, but of a bigger size, because typically I cop out on my blankets. But I really love the size of this, and I love the idea that I can just add more to it. Like, it's a full blanket now, it's squared off, but I can add more to it as I want to. And granny squares are so much fun to do every now and again. So that is a finished object you had never seen. Let's do a finished object that you haven't seen it finished, but it was a work in progress last time. So I'll take this cardigan off. I finished a garment. I've been finishing so many garments. Actually, I just remembered another garment that I have to show you, that I put away, but I have to get it because I'm so happy with the garments I am working on and actually finishing. So this is just a simple, no pattern, simple drop shoulder cardigan that I was working on last time. I did a little bit of a hem, and I'm surprisingly happy with how this turned out. And like, I've talked about this at length before, but drop shoulder construction is arguably the easiest to do, the easiest to come up with like a design for, because like everything's just in rectangles or squares, and then you sew it together at the end. It's arguably the easiest to do, but for some reason well, maybe surprisingly not. Okay, I closed the window so that we wouldn't hear the outside noises. Like I was saying, it's arguably the easiest to do, but it's also kind of the most boring. So, and also I tend to not trust the process as much because it's kind of hard to see how it's gonna lay until like you put the sleeves on. I feel like putting the sleeves on for a drop shoulder really makes the design. Like, I love how this looks. I love how it falls on me. It feels so good. And I was worried about the spacing I had for the neckline. I actually don't think I did anything to change that. I think I didn't exactly plan evenly for it. Like, I kind of made it like a perfect meetup rather than leaving more space. And I'm surprised how much that doesn't bother me. I think in future I would plan for that, just because it has a little bit of comfort, but not so much so that I don't think I'm gonna wear this. So this was made out of I Love This yarn in, I don't know, this bright pink color. I don't remember the colorway name. Just all double crochet until the ribbing. So I finished this and I really like it. Looking at this now, I'm really enjoying crochet, and I actually don't have cast on like a good crochet project. So I think I need to do that. I need to cast on something crochet because just I'm really in a crocheting mood, and I love that. Love that for me. Actually, I do have one more crochet project. but it was kind of more of a, I was in a crocheting mood and I didn't have enough yarn to pull off what I wanted to pull off, but I kind of came up with an idea, and maybe I'll revisit it in future. The same type of idea with drop shoulder construction, but I had this skein of Yarn Bee cotton wheel, sugar wheel cotton, this self-striping that was so pretty, and I wanted it to really shine. And I did it in V-stitch, and I did this bottom up, and then I used this scrap of Pima cotton for the top to kind of see how I liked this look. I really want to do more of stripes and things, but I do overestimate in my head how like stripes will look on me. I don't know why I do that. It doesn't even matter. If I like the colors, then what does the rest matter? But I wanted to see how this looked, and I really like this, but it's a little bit too small for me. I don't think it's kind of too small up here. I think had I done more, I should have done some like short rows. I should have left more room for the underarm, because I kind of like the width of it. I don't know, maybe the argument could be made that I could make it bigger overall, but I really like this style. Unfortunately, I don't think I have enough yarn in like the same type of cotton to pull off making another one, but it was just a fun experiment. And see what I mean? This drop shoulder, adding this little bit of like sleeve to it just really makes it. I don't know what it is. I just love it. Like, I love how this falls on me, because in my head, making drop shoulder designs on sweaters and cardigans, you know, you look at it, it's like, this is a box, this isn't going to drape at all, but then it does, and it's hard to plan for that exactly, how exactly it's going to look until you make it. But yeah, this honestly, I'll ask my little sister if she wants it, if she likes this type of style, because it's a little bit too small for me. But this is another thing I crocheted, because I just love crochet and I love V-stitch. Look at this V-stitch. V-stitch is just like, it's the same type of mindlessness as double crochet, but it's just a little bit more fun to do and a little bit prettier in terms of this drape, and I just love it so much. Okay, that's 3 finished objects. We have 2 more, and these both are t-shirts. I actually have summer tops now that are successful. They may be a little bit short, because I'm learning that apparently when doing top-down construction, looking at it in my lap, I feel like it's way too long, and then I finish it and it's actually could have been longer. So I need to work on that. But this pattern was the Timelines tee. It's a free pattern on Ravelry. And this yarn, I think I just threw out the ball bands. No, is that it? Okay. Here is the yarn I made this top out of. It is Yarn Bee Bamboo Tiful. I used 3 colors. This one was the blue, the Cerulean Sea. It is a blend of 50% cotton, 50% viscose from bamboo. So I used less than 3 skeins for this top. I had a little bit of extra of each skein. And I made a few modifications to the pattern. My row gauge was off, so I kind of cut short the V-neck shaping and did my usual worrying about sleeves versus bust circumference. It's a whole thing. But I have worn this tee and I have just washed it in the washing machine. This yarn, oh my goodness. Also the pretty hem detail of seed stitch. I modified that too. I probably should have trusted the pattern, because my row gauge, I underestimated I was afraid it was going to be too long. I shouldn't have. Whatever. I'm not making sense because I'm so excited and only have a little limited time to film this. I'm doing my best. I also did seed stitch on the sleeves. So, and I also did this little color change slip stitch just for a little bit of patterning. Okay, this yarn. I have knit with Lion Brand, what's it called? The bamboo base. Trubu? Lion Brand Trubu. I've talked about it here on my channel actually. That yarn is so soft, but it is so splitty, and I did not like it. It was way too splitty. I think how I ended up using it was I held it double in something and knit it up or crocheted it up. to get it out of my stash because I couldn't work with it single-stranded because it was too splitty. This yarn feels exactly the same, but it is slightly less splitty. And by slightly less, I mean that I can actually work with it. Like it's, you can see, it's very loose, just like the True Boo, but there's something about it that it just makes it slightly more put together. Like I knit this top on a, oh, I want to say a 7. I should have wrote it down because I really love the pattern and I love this gauge and I should have remembered that. I'm going to say a 7. I knitted on a 7 and I have the very pointy tips. So that helped cut down splittiness. It has just literally the tiniest bit more structure than True Boo, and that makes all the difference. I split it a few times, but not every single stitch. Like you can see on the end here, it is very light and loose, but it just has that tiniest bit more structure that makes all the difference, and it feels so soft. Like this is a lovely lightweight fabric to be wearing in the heat of summer. Like it's so nice. I'm really upset because they only have these colors and a couple shades of green, so not a lot of variety in colors, which is not great because like I want all the colors, but I've used all the colors. But yeah, it's pretty awesome and I love this tee. Like I said, it's a little bit on the short side. I should have done maybe at least another inch before binding off. I have plenty of blue. I could go back and add it very easily, but I hate doing that. It's not so much ripping back, it's having to do the hem again, because it's not like I can do another inch of hem so much as I need another inch of body. But to get to the body, I gotta rip out the hem and then I gotta do the hem again, and that's annoying. That's my hang up. But it's here if I want to do that. So I have the yarn. I did, like I said, I washed it. I just washed it in the washing machine. I do not treat my hand knits with any sort of care. I chuck them in the washing machine. If it's a fiber like this, I do lay it out flat to dry. A lot of my acrylic sweaters, they just go right in the dryer because I find that that actually makes them softer and larger. It's funny. But this I laid out to dry and I did stretch it a little bit, so maybe I got a little bit more length out of it like that. We'll see. But it is so pretty, so soft, so light. If you are looking for a yarn to make some summer tops out of that is lightweight and just fun to, it was really fun to work with. Like I said, the splitting, now granted I haven't crocheted with this. I imagine if you do a stitch like the V-stitch where you're not crocheting into like a stitch, you're crocheting into a gap, it wouldn't be a problem. But I can't say for certain. But knitting wise, it's a great yarn. So yeah, that was a really fun discovery to make, because to actually have made a top that in the summer that I'm gonna wear is a great accomplishment, because garment knitting around here has been very hard to do. Specifically, successfully, and specifically summer tops. Okay, I did make another summer top that I have mixed feelings about. So this yarn is, again, the Yarn Bee Sugar Wheel Cotton, and it's just a raglan. And I came up with the numbers for it myself, and I wasn't happy with, like, I made this raglan. I love the raglan creases I chose, just this yarn over with these stitches in between. And I thought it looked very plain, and while it fits me great, just where the self-striping ended up falling when I switched skeins, I have this big stripe right across my chest, which makes me, I don't want to say it makes me insecure to wear so much as I feel like I don't like the way it looks. I wear this, probably nobody else is gonna even think of it. I feel like that's something that as the person wearing it, you kind of just know, and it gets in your head, but like other people wouldn't care, wouldn't notice it. I particularly don't like how it looks on me, the way the stripe falls just right there. So I was kind of disappointed about that, but then I saw on Instagram somebody made a top, and I don't know if it was a pattern or if they did this themselves, where they did a cinched front. And I had actually tried to find a top like that. Like I had ordered a long time ago just a regular like t-shirt that had that design, and it ended up looking awful on me. But I thought the way like, and not so much the cinched detail looked bad, so much as just the rest of the top. That's beside the point. Anyway, I thought, well, maybe I can use that to kind of elevate this top, and I'm not mad about it. Like, I think it does give it a little bit more detail. Let me see. Maybe I'll try it on. Okay, so here it is. I'm not mad about it. I do think that because I didn't plan for this detail, that it affects what's going on up here. So like the way the cinching falls, I feel like it wants to fall more down. So it kind of looks more natural, like, you know, if you think about where it's falling. But that affects the increases up here. So had I been planning to do this detail, I would have started out with more stitches here. How I did this detail, honestly, it's just the plain back, like it is here, just a plain raglan, and then I took a piece of yarn and just threaded it through a row of stitches and cinched it up. And I actually did not weave in my end. I have just like a bow sitting inside here. It's just tied the knots. I'll show you when I take it off again. But like the more I look at it, the more I'm like, it's not bad. Like I said, I do feel like, again, with that stripe, it just looks like it should fall naturally down more. Yeah. And even, honestly, when I first tried it on, I thought that I should have added more length. And I still think I could have gotten away with another inch. That seems to be my spot where I underestimate. I just need to do 1 more inch. But it's not a bad length either. I don't know. I left the tail because I thought if I did 2 tops where I needed to add 1 more inch, then I should probably just do that. But again, I don't want to rip out ribbing and redo ribbing, especially on a smaller needle size, because I did go down to 2 needle sizes for my ribbing. Another side note, I found that, so typically in the past, I've not been one to switch needle sizes for ribbing because I don't have time for that. But I've realized that if I do want tighter ribbing, my rule of thumb is to go down 2 sizes for ribbing, whether that be knitting or crochet. Go down 2 full sizes to get a tighter ribbing, and to do bind offs. When I first learned to knit and first did my bind off, I had no trouble. It was not stiff. It did not bring the stitches in. I don't know what has happened over the years, but every time I do a bind off, it is a regular standard bind off, or if I do the stretchy bind off, it flares. If I do the regular standard bind off, it's too tight. My new rule of thumb for a bind off is to go up 3 needle sizes to do just the regular bind off, and I knit the 2 stitches with that needle and I pass the stitch over. That gives me a sturdy bind off and it does not flare. I did that for this sleeve. It's sturdy, and while it's tight, it's not hugging my arm. So, and that ends up working out pretty well for, I'm saying I go up 3 needle sizes. Maybe I only go up 2. Maybe I only go up 2 or 3, depending on the gauge. That was my thing, because for a different project I went up 3 needle sizes because I needed to, but for this I switched needle sizes, the 2 down for the ribbing, and then just bound off in the bigger size needle, and that worked out. But in the past I have gone up 3 needle sizes, because actually I carry around in my notions case a US size 11 just to bind off on anything, just so that I have a bigger needle size, but that ends up being too loose. So the rule of 2 or 3 needle sizes to bind off has worked out great for me. What was I saying before that rant? Anyway, this is the top. It's such a simple little thing, and I feel like it does take this top to a new level. I'm really happy about it. So yeah, I will show you how I did this little cinch thing. Okay, so before I did this little cinch, I had just a regular raglan. This is how it looked. The front and back just looked like this. So how I did this thing is I literally just threaded yarn through. I want to undo it, but it looks so good right now. You can see I just threaded it through a column of stitches. I did this on the right side so I could clearly see. Just threaded it through, and then I I did a single knot. I just did one knot and then a bow. So I can easily undo this and adjust it if I need to, or I can make it permanent. You can decide how cinchy you want it. I found that I needed to do it less because I cinched it really tight the first time and that didn't look natural. Look good. I don't know, but that's what I did, and that's how it's such a simple thing, and it's not bad. Like, I'm pretty happy with it. I was a little on the fence before I sat down to talk about it because I finished it yesterday and I put it away. And trying it on again just now, just like well, I'm onto something here. Yeah. Just pretty happy about that. Okay, so that's a good number of finished objects. Actually, I have a pair of socks and I left it in the other room too. I gotta get up again. This is the problem when you decide to podcast just spontaneously. You don't have enough time to gather everything and make sure you have everything. This should be everything now. I did finish a pair of socks, which feels really good because these ones, the ones lingering on the needles, that's a different one. I knit these Patons Croy socks, and this is my Skipping Stones stitch pattern, but I actually knit this sock as a DK sock. So Patons Croy is a little bit thicker, and honestly, I don't know if I'm the only one who's noticed this. I feel like some Patons Croy are thicker than others, because there are some Patons Croy that I knit at my regular fingering gauge and I love it so much, it feels so great, and then others where it's like, I can't do this. I started these as fingering weight socks and ripped them out because the gauge was hurting my hands so much. It was just way too thick. So I went up to a size 4, which is what I usually do for my DK weight socks. I actually don't have a US size 3, which is really, actually I do. I have one, but it's like, it's not my Knit Picks needles. It's a different brand, and the join is bad. So technically I really don't have US size 3 needles. Anyway, I went up to a size 4, and that made all the difference. Just my Skipping Stone sock pattern, my garter stitch sock collection, but on a DK weight sock. And did my shortcut heel in garter stitch. So I'm really happy to finish these. Like I said, I'm finishing things, and it feels really good because I have not finished things in a long time. But here they are. I really love the stitch pattern. It's so mindless, so simple, and it makes the sock go so fast. It's also just, I love a good garter stitch sock collection on Ravelry if you are interested. This was the first one in that collection. Okay, that is all the finished objects. I think. But the only 2 whips I have, one of them is an amigurumi because my little sister's birthday is in 3 days. And I decided 2 days ago that I was going to make her a plushie. And I don't feel motivated to work on it at all. I don't know why I do this. I do this every year. I'm like, I'm not going to do it this year. I'm not going to make a plushie. And then I find a plushie that I'm like, oh no, I have to make that. So hopefully I can finish this today. Honestly, it's not that very far. I've got the head and the start of the body. This is the Pokemon Jirachi, and I will link the pattern below that I'm using. And it looks really good, looks very simple, but for some reason I am not motivated to work on it. And I need to fix that because I think she'd really like this plushie. So that's a work in progress that I'm honestly trying not to think about because I need to just work on it. And I use for my amigurumi a 4.5mm hook. In this bag, bunnies in springtime. And then the only other work in progress that I'm going to finish, so I did start 2 sweaters, one of which I ripped out because I didn't misread the pattern, but I decided I could hack the pattern to do it more effectively, and I didn't like the yarn I was using to make the pattern. And another sweater I started that I barely started, like I started the sleeve, but I think I'm going to rip it out and do a different pattern with that I have to do the math for in my head before I can start that. So that's sitting in a bag. And then I do have my shawl that I talked about my knitted shawl that I also want to pull out, but I kind of want to get this pair of socks done first because this pair of socks has been on the needles for a ridiculously long time. I think I started it right after the last podcast I did, and I was like, it was just sitting because I wasn't motivated to even work on socks. But I finished one sock that I don't have the label, but when those clearance sales come on, you gotta, if you want to knit, you want to crochet, that's what you gotta do. But here is the sock. It's just my shortcut heel sock recipe. I did cuff down. I've been loving toe up recently, but I did cuff down for these, my shortcut heel in garter, and I got these cute little progress keepers. This one. So that's one sock. I really love the way it kind of spiraled. And then for the toe, I just kind of did the striping. And the way it looks on the heel is really cool. Just the way you can see it better on the one I just did because it's a little bit of variation. I'm forcing myself to work on this and kind of enjoying it again. I just did the heel this morning and finished the gusset decreases. But the way my heel is shaped, the way the shortcut heel is done, and the way this yarn is, it just kind of makes this like that bullseye effect that people love. I don't know if you can see it because it's all bunched up on the needle. I don't know, I really love the way this yarn is working up. But that's this sock project, and I'm happy making progress on it and just being motivated to finish things again. I keep saying that, but really I want to clear my needles. I want to finish the sock project. I want to finish that amigurumi, and then I can kind of get like a new rotation of projects going. Typically I like to have a sock, a sweater, and a small project. That's been my sweet spot, and then whatever else may get on the needles or hooks, that will be. But I like to have those three main things covered just because that gives me a good variety and good, like, I want to do something but I don't know what, and I can just pick up a project. So that's been nice. That's my goal, to get back to that spot. Hopefully I can maybe finish this today. Honestly, I should finish the amigurumi today. One of those two things gets done today. Of course, maybe now I want to edit this, so maybe I'm just giving myself things to procrastinate. I don't know. But that's all I've been working on. So with this month between sessions, spring session and summer session for school, I'm currently in college. I've talked about it a few times on the channel, but if you didn't know, I am in college in pursuit of my associates in special education, and I am scheduled to graduate this coming fall, which is awesome. So I have 3 classes this summer that I'm going to be taking, and they don't start until June. So I have this month of May to just kind of, I guess, knit and crochet. A little bit of a break before school starts up again, because come fall I'll be taking 5 classes again like I was taking this spring. So yeah, and as we've seen, the motivation kind of comes and goes when you have 5 classes to do. But yeah, so I really just I keep looking at this stack of finished things. I'm really happy about this. I'm really happy about these finished objects. I need to find a crochet project. That's what I need to do. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. I'm sorry if it was rambly or if it made any sense at all. Did it make sense? You can let me know. If you could take a moment, comment down below something you are working on. I would love to hear all about it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video, which will hopefully be sooner than this one was between my last video. Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy crafting!